Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. All right, guys, it is hot in Georgia today. I am sweating profusely like I just came out of it's basically a sauna in Georgia. And I have no AC in the shop, so we got all the doors open, but you know what? It's a good way to sweat it out, get all those toxins out, and maybe lose some weight, right? So today we're back on the 84 300 SD. Got it up on the lift. And we're going to start, I guess this is the first, this is part 3. I think this is part 3. So today we start on front suspension. You can see all the boxes here and look at all these goodies we just got in. We have some new, ooh, look at these. These are nice. These are ATE. Nice. ATE, original equipment manufacturer. ATE calipers. There's the rear. I think these are the fronts over here. Okay, here we go. This is, there's the front. It looks like they put me a rear in there. So I need to send that back unless there's a front in here. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's 2 fronts and 2 rears. I wonder why they did that. It looks like the rear went in the big box and the front went in the small box. Whatever. Got some beautiful ATE calipers. Look at these. They're the coated ones. Awesome. All right. What's all these goodies? So, looks like we have some rear shocks here. Maybe those are the front shocks. I don't know. Bunch of Limforder suspension parts. Let's check these out. What do we got here? These are the engine mounts. That's the good brand, guys. What do we got down here? We got a man filter. Here's some wheel bearings. Got our wheel bearings kit. Got some brake pads. Here's some brake hoses or brake lines. Here's some sway bar end links. Let's see what we got up here. These are our ball joints. Yes, beautiful. Got some new Limforder ball joints. This would be our steering shock. Bilstein. Air filter. Let's see, what are these guys? Did I already look in here? I bet you these are brake control, or control rod bushing. Yes. These are brand new control rod bushings. So I still have, there's our transmission pan gasket and transmission filter. Here's a hose for the, this is the in-tank. The hose that goes from the in-tank filter to the fuel line. Going to replace that. What are these guys up here? Let's see if we can cut those open. Those are our tie rods. So, got a lot of stuff that came in. Still have some more stuff coming. Looks like another set of shocks are on the way. And anyway, so we're going to go ahead and start disassembling. And I think today, while I'm doing the front suspension, I also want to go ahead, remove the oil pan. And I have an oil pan gasket. All right, we got a Victor Rhines. Here's our oil pan gasket. Up here. Anyway, so got a work cut out for us today. This is going to be a several day process. Oh, and over here, let's see. There we go. There's a beautiful condition oil pan. All right. So, there we go. So let's go ahead and start disassembling. So, all right, today, guys, we're starting on the front suspension rebuild. We have all of the parts in, and I have my... I'm going to take all this apart, and we're going to put new calipers. New calipers and rotors. And let me move this wheel out of the way. I'm guessing what happened is the mechanics at some point lost one of the lug bolts. So they just put a stud in here and put a screw on lug nut. I mean, that's exactly what happened. So we'll go ahead and twist that guy out of here. Anyway, all this is coming apart. Those are very old. There's a pretty good lip in them. So those have tens of thousands of miles on them. Of course, we're changing it. And I'm going to guess that these are the original calipers. Okay, these are ATE calipers because the Bendix has the cotter pin that holds these in, and the ATE is a press fit. So we're putting brand new OEM ATE calipers on here. And I mean, that hose is not really in bad shape at all. But we're going to put new hoses. We've got new hoses. And we've got new shocks. Guys, I don't think I have to replace this. This is in beautiful condition. We will take a look at it once we get the spindle off and try to move. We'll move this back and forth. And the bushings up there are in beautiful condition, as are the bushings down here. No reason to change these. However, excuse me, we're going to get these nasty all ball joints and tie rods out of here for sure. So let's go ahead and we'll get the other wheel off, and then we'll start the disassembly. All right, so I'm looking over here on the passenger side, and we have the same thing going on. There is a stud. I don't know if that was, they were trying to do some sort of security feature or something. I have no idea why one stud would be in both sides, one on here and one on the other. So anyway, we're taking all this off. We will figure that out. Okay, I'm here at the rear wheel, passenger side. Same goes for the driver's side. We have that stud installed. There's one stud here and there's one stud over on the rear driver's side. And I figured out why they did this. You notice I have all the bolts removed, but that wheel is still hanging on the car. Now, if this was just the original Mercedes setup, that wheel would want to fall off. They put a stud on every hub so you could install a wheel and then you wouldn't have to hold the wheel on there. So they did it as ease of installation. We'll go ahead and remove these and go back to factory original. All right, next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and tap off these grease caps. All you do is tap a little and then spin it. There we go. And let's just check. That is the original grease in there. These have never been re-greased. So I definitely ordered new bearings. So we're going to replace all that, but just looking at the condition of it. And this is the little radio interference, like it's a little copper pin that plugs into the end. And we can see there's that old crusty grease in there. That's definitely the original stuff, which not a problem. We're just going to change all of it. It's time. Here we are on the passenger side. And you can see here, this grease was actually changed over here. See, that grease is still good. So they might have replaced a squeaky or problematic bearing on this side, but it doesn't matter. We're changing them all. All right, here is the real test for my new Milwaukee half-inch impact, the little mini one. Let's see if it can actually break loose a caliper bolt. Wow, that's impressive. I can't get the top one. All right, guys, here's the difference between a proper impact and that little cheesy Milwaukee. This is an Ingersoll Rand half-inch impact hooked up to an air compressor. See how easy that came out? This is really 650 foot-pounds. That stuff that Milwaukee claims is simply not true. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Milwaukee tools. All of my battery operated tools are Milwaukee. They do a good job, but that advertises 650 foot-pounds of torque, and I promise you, that bolt was not in there with 650 pound-foot of torque to break it loose. Hey, are y'all fighting? Hey, come here. Are y'all fighting? Hey, buddy. I love you too. Jefferson. Hey, Jefferson. Hey, Thomas. 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 Where are you going? Where are you going? All right. Even though we're replacing these rotors, these calipers, we're not going to disconnect the lines and do anything until later. We just want to hang them up here on the sway bar. Now, so when you have a lip on the rotor like this, you often have to have a pry bar to get the caliper to come off the rotor. So you just simply stick a pry bar under there, and you don't need to do anything crazy. Just push it off there, like we just did. Now, I'm going to stick this is just, I don't know, for like 2 gauge or 4 gauge wire or something like that. And twist that wire together, and that'll stay there until we're done with the suspension work. And then when it's time to reassemble the calipers, we'll take off the brake lines and calipers. So now that we have the rotor off, the caliper, now that we have the caliper off, we're going to go ahead and get our number 5 metric Allen head and loosen the little set screw in the spindle nut. This little set screw is what holds the spindle nut in place and keeps your wheel from coming off. This little piece right here is what holds that wheel on, holds on this whole assembly. And same goes for like muscle cars, American muscle cars. They do the same things. It's a common vehicle design, normal design on the front end at least. So we're going to screw that off of there. We'll go set this with our dust grease covers, grease caps. And now that that's off, we can take off. And there we go. There's our outer bearing. And our inner bearing is behind that seal. But again, we're replacing all of this stuff. So we'll just set this aside for now. Now, what you do want to do when you pull off a caliper or a hat, call that the hat, or the hub, but on race cars we call it the hat. So we're going to clean off all the grease from the spindle here and just make sure that's in good condition. And this spindle is beautiful. These are very strong forged steel. You never see problems with these, but it's always good to just inspect it. And the surface is very good, smooth. That's not damaged at all. So that's great. So the next thing we're going to do is take off the dust shield. And again, that's just the 5mm. This is the hub. All right. And here, of course, is the dust shield. And the first thing you want to do, put your bolts. We'll put those back in there so we don't lose them. All right, so next thing we want to do is start popping the tie rods and all the linkage off. You can see up under the car. There's our center link. There's our steering shock. There we go. Steering shock goes there. Center link goes here. Inner part of the tie rod. Outer part of the tie rod. We're going to go ahead and bust all that loose all the way over to the other side. Okay, next thing we want to do, start breaking loose the nuts on all the suspension. Now, this would be a good job for our baby impact because these are only on there with like 30 foot-pounds of torque or so. It's not much. So we're going to go around and just break them all loose. All right, guys, the next one we need to get to is right there. So we can get up there and break it loose with our hand wrench, our hand socket. Let's see. There we go. So we broke it loose. There we go. So much quicker. This tool is great. This is a Milwaukee. It's their Fuel 3/8 drive. However, it breaks about every 5 months, but it's got a 5-year warranty. You just send it back, they repair it and send it back to you. But it breaks because I'm, beating the hell out of these in the shop. These are getting used daily. So for an enthusiast, this would not break on you. And I'm doing this, all the steering is just straight. Everything's in a straight line. And that's enough room to pretty much get everything undone. We barely got that in there, but we did it. All right, so now I broke all those loose. Now we need to get our tool, basically our ball joint separator, and we'll hook that up here and show you how that works. All right, you guys have seen this before, ball joint separator. All it is a fulcrum. Oh gosh, she barely had enough power. Barely. She got stuck and I had to keep pulling the trigger, but it got it done. Let's see if it can handle, another one. See if she can do this side. Setting. Oh, there we go. Went to a little more powerful setting, and she got that one off of there. There we go. And there we go. This is what we've done so far. The calipers are hanging up on the car. Bearings, hubs or hats, rotors, dust shields, outer tie rod, inner tie rod, steering shock or steering stabilizer, tie rod here, and then same goes for the other side. And again, we're replacing all this stuff. Now, again, the inspection of these bushings are outstanding condition. Guys, I've replaced bushings that look like that before, and it ended up just being a total waste of time. And I've done it several times. I've learned my lesson. These lower control arm bushings last a very long time on these old Mercedes. So it's completely unnecessary for me to go through the trouble to change those. However, we want to go ahead and next we're going to undo our shocks from the top so we can basically bend our shock down and out and disconnect it here. And then we can put our spring compressor in here and compress this spring, but I want to get the shock out of the way first. Which is right here. And Mercedes makes it a little tricky. Instead of using a lock nut, they have 2 nuts on here. So you basically have to have a 17 millimeter, which is shaved down. There we go. See, it shaved down really thin. See how I shaved it down like that? And that allows you to get access to one side without interfering with the top nut, which you can then get on here. And get off like that. Here. I can actually move that nut so it's spinning. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try our baby impact again. And we might be able to just spin that thing off of there real quick. Yep. We got it. Sometimes those get stuck on there and it's a bitch. Woo! That nut is hot. And we're replacing all our rubber bushings. You see we got a rubber bushing in here that I'm prying out right now. Damn, that is hot. Set that down. All right. There's our old bushing. and an old nut. That stuff's going to come out of here. Let's go ahead and do the other side. All right, so since we got both of the shocks undone relatively easy, this car didn't give me any problems at all. We're going to go ahead and raise it back up and pull those shocks through. All right, guys, getting these shocks out, pretty easy once they're disconnected. You just force them down. There we go. And then right here, you have a 10 millimeter, and there's also a 10 millimeter right there. So we need to get a wrench to get those out. I mean, a socket to get those out. There we go. We just got our shock out. All right, we have the shock off, and we can see the shock cover is in excellent shape. It's not broken at all. We'll replace these rubber mounts, rubber bushings. Also, the bump stop. That's in incredible condition. Now, Bilstein sends us some new bump stops with the new shocks right there. So we'll go ahead and use those. But let's go ahead and see if this shock is actually in good condition. I'm just compressing it, and then I'm going to let go. There we go. Look at that. That shock is still good. And you see that a lot on these old Mercedes. They're 40 years and 100,000 miles, and the shocks are still fine. They're very resilient. But since we're replacing everything up front, we want to go ahead and replace that shock. So let's go ahead, and we got it from this side. Let's go ahead and get it off the other side of the car. Okay, here's where we are so far. Shocks, tie rod, center link, suspension stabilizer or steering shock, dust shields, bearings, rotors, and hubs. So next thing we want to do is compress the spring here. Just get it up out of the spring perch a little bit. So then we can remove the ball joint. Well, I don't have my light, sorry. The ball joint nut, which is right there, and the upper ball joint nut, which is here. But you want to compress that spring, because if that comes flying out and bangs you in the head, you're a dead man. That's all I'm going to show for this video. I think we're approaching like 30 minutes, and we've gotten all the front suspension out of the car, like tie rods and shocks. So the next video, part 2 of the suspension, will be removing the springs and the steering knuckles, and starting to reassemble and put the new parts back on the car. So that's going to be part 2 of the suspension, which will be part 4 in the series. Anyway, and you'll get to see me using this tool too. So please like and subscribe, and talk to me in the comments, and give me a call. Let's talk. I like talking to you guys and answering all your questions in the comments. So, and Thomas is actually saying hello too. Say, hey, Thomas. Hey, Jefferson. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.